Doamnelor și domnilor, este o provocare și pentru mine, Andrei Isac, eu reprezint proiectul Uniunii Europeană pentru restabilire verde și o să trec la engleză, fiindcă așa a fost setat o scurtă noastră sesiune de sinergii, dar noi, deci întrebările majoritatea au fost despre provocări. Provocarea mea trebuie să ne înscriem în 15 minute în loc de jumătate de oră și o să trec nemijlocit la sesiunea pe care sunt onorat să o conduc, sesiune dedicată sinergiei între proiecte și suportului Uniunii Europene, asistența pe care o oferă și pe această filieră. Vorbim despre proiectele naționale sau regionale în domeniul tranziției verzi. I have the pleasure and honor to chair this short session and to welcome here our old friend and colleague from OECD, Nelly Petkova, policy analyst representing OECD Environmental Directorate and EU for Climate Resilience Project. Nelly, welcome. And also leads biodiversity expert in Moldova and currently coordinating the World Bank component of EU-funded regional program EU for Environment on biodiversity and ecosystem services, Aurel Lozan. We will try to stick to one maybe main question instead of the prepared one originally, because part of the information was already covered, but what we would like to mention here, it's about synergies, it's about cooperation, and in fact in Moldova and in the region we have more than 7 projects which are active in the field of green transition, and one of our partners also, Innovate Moldova here, they also support this green transition. We are happy we are a co-organizer of this event today. But we also are missing here the green transition project, green agenda, and also we have some other regional projects which were involved. But we use this opportunity to introduce 2 partners who are already for a longer time involved in this process in Moldova and who provide support to our country in greening activities from different point of view. And I will start with Nelly with the question which is covered by OECD for a longer time. We know that investments in green transition and climate change needs private funds, but also need public funds. But public funds are not always sufficient. And in this context, what are the efficient incentives for mobilizing public sector finance and also coordinating the instruments or mechanisms which could be applied? It was mentioned already in the first sessions today, such instruments and mechanisms, but we'd like from OECD and from EU for Climate Resilience point of view, what will be these complementary instruments and measures, and what is from your experience?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Andrei, and thank you, Moldova, for having invited OECD to participate in this exciting forum today. It's true, as Andrei mentioned, OECD and I personally have been working with Moldova for many, many years, maybe more than 25 years. We've known each other with Andrei, working on green finance and green investments in Moldova in particular, and I've always worked on these issues. And I have to say that what I've seen in Moldova and in the region more generally, it's that the green finance market has substantially evolved. Those of you who have been working on these issues over the years, they would remember the early years, 25 years ago, when there was one major source of financing for green investments. Basically, it was the budget funds or the system of environmental funds that existed at that time. And in Moldova in particular, the National Environmental Fund continues to be there. And I think this morning we heard from the State Secretary that there is still a lot of demand for the products, financial products offered by the fund. Maybe he mentioned municipalities asked, municipality demand was 6 times more than what the fund can offer, which means that there is a need to scale up financing. The issue is that over the years, the Moldovan governments have put in place different sources, different financial mechanisms and financial products, and these have evolved. And now we see that apart from the National Environmental Fund, including the the Regional Development Fund, they provide direct grants, for example, or equity investments. There are other instruments like ODA, in English it's the Entrepreneurial Development Organization. They provide interest rate subsidies, working very closely with the financial sector, with banks, so it's sort of a public-private partnership in a way, and we've seen that there are other instruments, meaning the role of the public, particularly financial sector, is enormous in creating the demand and supporting the demand and increase of funds. Apart from that, banks, though, we heard also this morning that commercial banks have worked closely with IFIs, and there have been these IFI-supported credit lines, environmental credit lines, where 10, 15 years ago, the IFI community wanted, the basic idea was to help bankers in our countries to create these sort of clean energy markets, and then once they learn the business, they can continue on their own, and they can get into the, go to the international financial markets and raise money on their own and continue the business. What has happened, I think, so far, honestly speaking, from what I've seen, is that commercial banks still continue to rely very much on government subsidies. They continue to rely on IFI support, and there is less in Moldova, in particular, of their own, strategy of raising money, particularly for green investments on their own. So one of the things that OECD, through the project that Andrei mentioned, which is called the EU for Climate Resilience, is focused on working with the capital markets and trying to use capital market instruments to raise long-term finance for green investments. And these instruments were mentioned this morning several times. Green bonds are a typical capital market instrument. There are other so-called thematic bonds which can be used to issue debt, green long-term debt, like sustainability-linked bonds, etc., social bonds as well. And we've worked on this, until several years ago, to be honest, there was very little activity in the capital markets in the region as a whole. And when I mean the region, is the EAP region, or the Eastern Europe, as we call it, EU Eastern Partnership region. Basically, we talk about Armenia, Azerbaijan, Moldova, Georgia, and Ukraine. And the first green bonds that we saw being issued on the markets in the region was in Ukraine just before COVID started. And since then, it was amazing. There was an outburst of activity, and although our countries in the region were rather late compared to other regions in the world in terms of using the capital market to raise funds for green investments, all of a sudden, countries started issuing, and we could see multiple issuances. We could see different issuers, including in the financial sector, commercial banks issuing bonds, green bonds. We could see real economy companies issuing bonds. And we're talking about green bonds, meaning instruments which are specifically designed and structured to raise money for green investments. Moldova is a little bit of an outlier, but an interesting outlier. Until now, as you know, we haven't seen specific green bonds issued in Moldova. But there have been a number of municipal bonds. And this is an interesting avenue because no other country in the region has issued green bonds at the municipal level, which means there are opportunities locally in local currency to issue debt instruments that can raise money for green. There have been these three particular, or four even now, traditional vanilla bonds issued in Moldova by municipalities, and although they are not labeled as green, and why labeling is important, it's because by the label you attract investors which are impact-minded and interested in green, supporting, financing green investments. In any case, in Moldova, the 3 bonds which were issued, the resources, the revenue which was generated by these bonds was used specifically for green investments. One of the bonds was issued by the Chisinau municipality, and the money was used for buying trolley buses, which is clean transport basically. So it was the money was invested in clean transport. The other 2 municipalities were using the money for building and renovating wastewater treatment plants and sewerage systems. And this is amazing because, as I said, no other country has issued municipal bonds. It's a very difficult market, but it seems that local investors are looking for opportunity to finance green projects. And we've been talking to some of the local banks, commercial banks here, and we heard that indeed, even individual investors, people like you and me, they are interested into putting their money in good projects, and they're looking for that. And it turns out that there are not that many good products that can be offered on the market locally. And one of the big issues, we've also been talking to investors internationally. We conducted an interesting survey on investors' demand, both domestic and international, in the region. Believe it or not, there is interest even by international investors to invest in specific instruments like green or sustainable bonds. But one of the main issues for them is the existence of good projects, good financial opportunities. And this, I mean, it's a wording, it's something that we hear all the time, but it's real for investors. The lack of bankable projects, pipelines that are not easily available and that are credible enough and profitable enough including for foreign investors to come to the country and invest. I will probably stop here just to say that capital markets are really interesting because they provide an alternative to bank financing, sometimes or very often, what we've seen, much cheaper than bank financial products. So it's really worth considering, but for this you need the necessary regulatory basis as well as support from the state.
Okay, Nelly, thank you very much. I think this morning, the representatives of Minister of Finance highlighted this issue that Minister of Finance is considering these instruments to be applied, and I think the governmental support will be much more coming here. And I would encourage also you to use this opportunity, as Nelly and OECD is in a mission this week here in Moldova, if you want to have further contacts and to continue the discussion on this topic. But I will switch then to our second participant, also our old friend of us, and I am happy that I was coordinating you for environment, green economy, but Aurel was coordinating the part of biodiversity and ecosystem service. And in this position, in this activity, which was World Bank is managing, Aurel, I know that you worked a lot with local communities. You conducted assessments. You discovered that the benefits from ecosystem services, from what we could get from nature, is a huge capital and a huge potential for investments and for growth. I would like you to develop on this experience and to let us know to what extent this could be absorbed at the local level. Are ready the communities to get this funding or to use this capacity so far? And to what extent this green investment would have greater impact at the local level in the biodiversity and ecosystem services point of view? Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Can you hear me? Good morning. Hello, everyone. Bună dimineața tuturor. So I'll stay in English because it's a protocol. The World Bank agenda is growing. We have a couple of projects coming, and one is already launched. One is going to be finalized soon. It's EU4 you probably may have heard about it. We are working closely with local communities. Just when I'm coming, this is just the green stuff that we are tackling. The local communities or the other landowners that they have properties, The properties mean ecosystem. Ecosystem means already ecosystem services. What does that, in practical terms, means that if the existing ecosystem are managed sustainably, there is a kind of ecosystem services, monetary value coming to you, to us, to everyone. That means that per hectare, for instance, of the land of a health ecosystem, we receive in turn annually from several hundred to thousand and even more than $10,000 a year. This we call ecosystem services. Sometimes people take it for granted. People don't care about it. People, our landowners, they want to see those just the revenues, but the revenues will come from a health ecosystem. Yesterday, Jessica Roswell said that all the businesses are linked to nature in a way or another. So this is the way how we are dealing with local communities. For instance, in the EU for Environment project, led by the World Bank on ecosystem and livelihoods, we are helping practically in a tangible way local communities. For instance, more than 2,000 hectares of young forest coming naturally is now formalized and put back to the communities together with them in a participatory manner. And now they will own and they will manage at least 2,000 hectares sustainably. That means that forests will grow and will generate ecosystem services. Another example is on silvopastoral management. Silvopastoral management means that we need to look at the landscape level by putting everything into one. So we're not looking at the forest in isolation or the pasture or the grassland isolation. We need to see everything connected because in nature everything is connected to anything else. And that means that if we manage another type of ecosystem, silvopasture, grasslands, sustainably, we will also get some monetary revenue in terms. Sometimes it's not like in accountability, you don't get it in cash, but you get it in another form. So that is what we want to secure on a long-term run. And last, I'm running out of time, but the World Bank is now thinking in terms of green bond and bankable projects. So with the EU for Environment is the basis for at least 4 projects that we are developing. One is launched, and the other 2 under preparation. The other one, the third under Natura 2000 is also coming. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Aurel. Nelly, I will try to be short now because we are running out of time, definitely, but we are happy that both World Bank and OECD are long-term partners of Moldova in helping us with this green transition. And I was having only one short question to Nelly because I would like to benefit from OECD presence here. We know that already 12 editions of Green Finance and Investment Forums were conducted in Paris with participation of OECD countries and EU member states. So how do you think that this kind of platform or forums could play a role here in Moldova or in the region? Just very short, Nelly, please.
I think the absolutely short answer is yes, it can. And I think that it's a very good idea. And we've been working on the forums in OECD, but I think OECD will be very happy to continue working and supporting Moldova as well, because I really believe there is a lot of potential for such forums, and they can provide a bridge between EU and the region as well. So for me, it's a brilliant idea, and we will be more than happy to support the efforts in Moldova.
Thank you very much, Nelly. And just to conclude, please believe me that the forum as such is the event today, and I'm very happy it happens, but it will be a lot of coordination work in between, and these synergies and joint work between projects, between partners, this will be the results, the real results in between forums, and we will have what to show in 1 year from now. Thank you very much for this session, and success in further activities. Thank you.